Alright, hi gang. I am in my car at work on break. I've got 15 minutes left in my break. And we are going to start this reading vlog because I am starting this bad boy, Vita Nostra, recommended to me by my friend Madison Peck. Her channel will be in the description, obviously. She's like in love with this book and I need to see what it's all about. So this reading vlog is gonna literally just be this book. It's gonna be a lot of talking about it, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna read. Yeah. Page 10. Yeah. So not too much has happened so far. We're still in the setup. Obviously we're on page 10, but love the writing style so far. Don't know why my finger's green either. It's been a weird day at work so far. Anyways, love how it is written so far. It's very like slice of life feeling, which I love so much. So far so good, but I do need to go back to work, so goodbye little bro. I will either pick it up later tonight or tomorrow. Yeah. Hello friends. So this vlog is kind of all over the place with the commentary. From time to time I just don't talk for like a week straight. So I will be here with the voiceover to give a little bit more context because I feel like it is greatly needed. First and foremost, it is still monsoon season here, so there is a few time lapses showing off just the clouds and the storms that we've been having here lately. Also, I talk about this later, this book took me quite a long time to read, so there's some parts of this vlog that are not writing related, simply because I was just doing other stuff in between reading this book because that's just life, and I wanted to add it to this vlog as well. So this time lapse that you're seeing is my mom, my brother, and I at a revolving sushi restaurant, just tearing it up. And then as well, I'll talk about this later in the video in more detail. But I finished another book before I finished Vita Nostra. It's this non-fiction book about green witchcraft, and I wanted to tab out some information that I wanted to use later. That's just what that is. It's a very nice little referential book, so cannot complain. Speaking of just doing stuff in between reading, I also have this little mini cleaning day in this vlog. I included it in the video because in between doing things, I was reading one of the two books that I was currently in the middle of. Like, I had to wait for the dryer to be done so I could switch the clothes. So I was just reading, waiting for the dryer to go off and whatnot, and just sneaking in a little bit of progress every now and then throughout the day, because I had other things to do and I still wanted to get the book done, so we had to balance both of them.
consumed while simultaneously eating rocks is just...
Okay, do not mind the hair, but hello. I am 200 pages into this book. 212. There are no chapters in this book, so I can't really tell you what chapter I'm on. So I can only tell you in page number. I am loving this story so far. This is like one of my favorite sort of writing styles and like storytelling styles, so I am just eating it up. Clearly not very quickly, because I'm only on page 213 and it's been a week and a half or so, but it does give me the vibes of like Haruki Murakami, kind of. Not as much, but it does give me the same vibes of how his stories are told, so obviously loving that. How the character is changing as well. Like, there's a ton of character development in here, not necessarily for the better. When she first got to the school, she saw the second year students and they were all like, they seemed crazy, like they all had like developmental deformities. They walked with a limp or they paused mid stride or something, and she looked at them and she was scared to become that, because she was like, oh, they've only been here a year and they're already like messed up, right? And by the time she is a second year, she is messed up, right? Like that was inevitable, but she no longer sees a problem with it. It's more the work that the school is giving her that is driving her forward, that she doesn't care what kind of deformities or abnormalities she develops, as long as she can keep learning this kind of stuff. And the teacher's also like, oh, if you work hard, you can get back somewhere to normal, or what you believe could be normal at this point. And like going through her perspective, we get to see how her mind has changed with what she's learning at the school, and it is so cool to see that written out in her perspective. Like, it's not in first person, it's a close perspective, so like pretty close, and it is so cool to see how this author wrote it, to like show how the main character Sasha is going through these changes, just like what this character is going through and like how she's developing with it and how it's changing her and how she's like, how the whole thing's going down. It is so cool so far, and I'm literally only halfway through the book. Like, what? A lot has happened so far, and I am so excited to see where the rest of this book goes. On another part, as I've been saying, this book takes place in a school, and I am not in school right now. This is my summer break because I did do school over the summer, and I have 3 weeks right now until my next semester starts. So this is my summer break, so I'm not doing any schoolwork, but this book is making me want to learn new things and like study and stuff, because like Sasha, I do take joy in learning things. It's the only thing that kept me going in school was like, oh, I get to learn a new subject. Sometimes that was not the case. The main character is taking courses she didn't even know existed, and she's studying and she's overcoming her difficulties and she's doing great, right? And I'm like, man, I want to be in an environment like this where it's learning and discipline and routines and doing school things, but like, do not want to be back in school. Like, please God, having a routine like that or learning something new or something like that, the vibes, I crave them. To combat this and to give myself at least one of those things, learning something new, I have also been reading nonfiction alongside this, which is probably why I'm only halfway as well. If I was only reading this book, I probably would get this done a lot faster, but I've been reading nonfiction alongside this. First and foremost, I have been reading my Smithsonian magazines. I have been reading these all summer. There's another book I finished, actually. It was a really small book, but I finished it already, which you have already seen in the vlog because I did a little time-lapsey thing with it. But The Green Witch, it's about green witchcraft. I have another book I just picked up on modern witchcraft as well, and I might read that soon, but I finished this one, and now I am reading The Sixth Extinction. I picked this book up for school last year, but we never finished it. We got 3 chapters in, I'm pretty sure, before my teacher dropped it. So I restarted the book 2 days ago, and I am now past where we stopped at school. So, you know, wasn't that hard. I've been wanting to finish this book since we dropped it at school. So now I am finally doing it. I've also been reading some audiobooks. So, reading a lot of things. That is my reading update so far. What is today? August 16th. Yeah, not too bad. I'm hoping I'll have this book done before I start school again, or else I will not get any reading done because I'm gonna have a bit of a heavier workload than I've had recently. So hopefully I'll have it done before the end of this week. And I'll be here to talk about the recap and all that jazz and wrap up this reading vlog because I feel like it's been going on for a while and I just haven't filmed that much. So it's a little all over the place. But yeah, we'll see what happens. In this video as well, there is a lot of reorganizing and a lot of books that I had bought. I don't know why I was reorganizing so much. As you can see, I redid my bookshelves and later I actually rearranged my room just a little bit to move some furniture around. But I don't know why there was so much, probably because this was my little 3-week period when I was off from school. So I was very bored and I wanted to do something. So I ended up reorganizing my shelves and then a few days later deciding to rearrange my room. Also, the books, I needed to get some books for school, so I went to Half Price Books and bought all of those. I don't think those are in the vlog, but then I realized I had a Half Price Books gift card just sitting in my wallet. So I decided to just use that as well. Because why not? Because why not? But yes, lots of reorganizing, lots of getting new books, very fun, and slowly but surely, I got towards the end of Vita Nostra. Okay, we're gonna write a thank you card and we're gonna mail it like 1990. Okay, gang, it's not even that late. It's like 10 at night on a Tuesday. I just finished my schoolwork for today, which wasn't much, and I am so close to finishing this book. Look at that. I'm going to finish it tonight. I'm so excited. I am so stoked. This book is so good, and once I'm done I can talk about it without spoiling anything, hopefully. If I do, I'll cut it out, but then when I'm done, right after I'm done, I'm gonna look crazy and tired and awful, but we're gonna do the final recap of the glorious Vita Nostra. I'm going to read at my little reading nook that I have now. She is complete. I am speechless. Oh my god. Oh my, what? I don't even think I can think straight right now. So I'm probably gonna do the recap tomorrow when I am level. I don't think I'm gonna be able to form many coherent sentences about this book. But it's so good. It was so good. Oh my god. I can say for sure that this is gonna be on my reread list, and I want to scrutinize it a little more now that I have read the whole thing, because there's a lot of things that we learn in like part 3 of the book, which is like less than 100 pages, things that are confirmed ideologically within the story that we learn in part 3 that aren't confirmed, but like, you know, they're being hinted at with those rules and that like world building set out in that last part. It was confirmed for me what was going on in the whole story. Obviously I knew to a certain extent what was happening, but in part 3 you get a lot of that meaning and a lot of what the kids at the school are learning. You also get told what is happening. I want to go back and reread it and see how the story changes now that I know what everything means. Now that I've already gone through the journey, I can step back and I can understand it more. Hi, I'm here. It's been 2 days since I finished Vita Nostra. and I am here to collect my thoughts. I could have filmed this the day after, but I just didn't. But what I did do was I took notes. I took notes, so I don't have to have original thoughts right now. I have it all out. If I have more to talk about, I'll have more to talk about, but we're gonna wrap it all up. So first and foremost, incredible. I loved this book so much. Like I said, right after I finished the book, this is definitely on my reread list because it is so good and it gives you so much information at the end of the book that like enlightens the whole thing, and it's like you gotta reread it again to see how the information you know now changes how you read it. Like the main thing of the story where it's like Sasha, the main character, is learning very slowly about what this school she's going to is about and like what she's becoming, and that coinciding with like her becoming more and more knowledgeable and powerful is so good because she doesn't know what she's doing, right? But she's still learning this stuff and becoming something new, and it's very slowly that both she and the reader learn why or what, or you know, just like all of the WH questions essentially. And it's so good. That's all I'm gonna be saying this whole time. It's so good, and it is great because the readers are not given anything over the characters in the story. Like sometimes authors will have like perspectives of people who know what's going on so readers can be grounded and understand more than the main characters, but no, not in this story, and I love it. We only know as much as Sasha does, which is to say, not much, but we slowly learn with her what is going on, and that is so great. And another thing that I really loved about this was that there was no like crazy over-the-top plot points. Like sometimes stories will like need it to be like super world-shattering, like the main character's changing the world, right? Or like major battles are going to be going on in the climax or whatever. But this story does not have that because it is just a girl at a school that she knows very little about, and she's just trying to survive. And I love these kinds of plots where they kind of just take the monotony and the routine of a normal life and they blow it up to this great story, period. I don't really know where I was going with that, but I love those kinds of plots. And that really is it. She's at the school, she's studying every day, she's learning with her professors, and she's progressing as a student at the school, and not much else happens. I mean, like, she does get into like dorm life and like drama with the other students or whatever, but that's not anything out of the ordinary for this kind of school, right? Also, studying and learning vibes, 10 out of 10. Like I said earlier in the vlog, it made me want to learn stuff as well. So I read two nonfiction books while I was finishing Vita Nostra because I wanted the knowledge. I wanted to be studying. It was so great. I was like, this needs to be me. I need to be like this right now. So studying and learning and like the school vibes, 10 out of 10, would recommend. The professors as well at the school, so cool. I loved all of their like characterization. All of them, they feel so human, but then they feel so beyond human, and they keep so much to themselves because like they can't explain it to the kids because then it wouldn't make sense, but like you get the sense that they are like these crazy beings that know everything, but like they're human, but like they're not. It's so good. The professors and the mentors and the advisors and all that stuff, they're so cool. I love all the characters. They're great. And I think I said this earlier in the vlog. I feel like right when I started reading it too. Might have not, but I was feeling it. That this story was probably going to remind me a lot of Haruki Murakami's style. And that does still stand for this story. I feel like the writing style is kind of similar, which is what grabbed my attention at the beginning of the story. I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like a Murakami book because I've read Murakami before. I don't know which one came first. Like, I don't know when Vita Nostra was written, so I don't know if Vita Nostra should remind me of Haruki Murakami or the other way around, but I read Murakami first. So, Vita Nostra reminds me of Murakami, okay? But when I first started reading it, it was the writing style that really reminded me of his books, and now that I've gone through the whole story, the whole thing reminds me of Murakami, because it's the whole like soft fantasy-esque kind of thing, because they deal with things that are not in the real world, but they are in the real world. I think they're in Russia in Vita Nostra, and then obviously in Haruki Murakami's books they're in Japan, but they're in the real world living ordinary lives when this sort of fantasy-esque world gets thrust upon them, and we see how they deal with their daily lives as well as working with this new fantasy something or other, you know? Both of them do that kind of thing, and I love it. I love it. You guys already know that I love Haruki Murakami, right? And his stories. All love them. And you know what? Vita Nostra reminds me of those. So I love that book as well. And I don't know. I love it because it makes like seemingly normal people look interesting in their day-to-day lives. Anyways, those were my final thoughts on this book. Thank you, Maddie, for raving about this to me and telling me, peer pressuring me, perhaps, into reading this book, because oh my god, I love it. I love it. I would love to say more, but I feel like I'm already saying a little bit too much for the story, so I'm going to shut up. You guys should go read this book. It is very dense. Like, there's a lot of information in there, and there's a lot of concepts in there that are like, I think they'd be like physics concepts, so like they're a little harder to grasp if you don't have that kind of insight already into those kinds of concepts. Math and physics, I think there's a lot of geometrical stuff in there too, but like there's a lot of things that could be confusing if you don't have a background in that already. But it is very dense and takes a while to get through. I think it took me 20 days to get through, which is quite a lot for a book. For me, we don't talk about the Mistborn trilogy. That took way too long. That was an outlier, okay? But for a normal book, that was quite a long time for me to be reading it, because I did read 2 other books before I finished Vita Nostra. But such a good read. It is worth the time. It is worth the time. I loved it. Anyways, that is my little Vita Nostra reading vlog. I wanted to make a vlog just for this book because of Maddie. Link in the description. I feel like I've already said that as well, but she wanted to see what I thought about this book, so I made a video about it. If you're not Maddie and you're just here watching me rant about a book, thanks for being here as well. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here, and thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.